I'm Asal Aminian and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about one of the famous concepts in statistics that is not only an important thing in statistics, but also in medicine, data science, artificial intelligence, and even when Netflix suggests you movies or Spotify suggests you songs, this is exactly the algorithm that they might have been using behind. It's called Bayes Theorem. But before I show you the formula, let me ask you a question. Imagine there is a rare disease that affects only 1 out of 100 people. Now suppose there is a medical test that is 97% accurate for healthy people, meaning only 3% of healthy people receive a false positive result. You take the test, the result comes back positive. How likely is that you actually have the disease? Most people immediately answer, well, about 97%. But that's wrong. The correct answer is only about 25%. How is that possible? Let's find out. Before we understand Bayes' theorem, we need to understand what is conditional probability. Conditional probability checks what's the probability of an event happening if we already know another event has happened. Mathematically speaking, we write it as the probability of A conditioned on B. For example, suppose you want to know if someone has the flu. Without any evidence, you might think that, okay, maybe 5% there is a chance that the person has the flu. But for example, imagine you see that the person is coughing or has some other symptoms, then the probability of the person being sick might change. That's exactly what conditional probability is about. Now let's introduce another concept, the law of total probability. Suppose we're interested in knowing what's the probability of a test coming back positive. There are actually two different ways that can happen. First, the person is really sick and the test correctly detects the disease. Second, the person is healthy, but the test mistakenly reports a positive result. The overall probability of getting a positive test is simply the sum of these two probabilities. This idea is known as the law of total probability, and it's the key ingredient we'll need for Bayes' theorem. Okay, now here's where everything comes together. Okay, see, we were asking if a person has the disease, what's the probability that the test comes positive? But let's ask this question in another way. If the test comes positive, how likely is it that the person is actually sick? These are not the same questions in probability. Bayes' theorem allows us to reverse the direction of the probability. Mathematically, Bayes' theorem is as follows. Let's understand what every term means. Prior probability is the first term. It's your belief before saying any new evidence. In our example, only 1 out of every 100 people has the disease, so the probability is only 1%. The next is likelihood. If someone actually has the disease, how likely is the test to be positive? For our simplified example, we'll assume the test detects every sick patient. So this is 1. Now we need the probability that a randomly selected person has a positive test. Remember, a positive result can happen in two different ways. Either the person is sick or they're healthy but receive a false positive. Using the law of total probability, let's calculate it. The first term is 1% and the second term is around 3%. Adding them together gives us something around 4%. So about 4% of all people receive a positive test result. Finally, we substitute everything into Bayes' theorem, which gives approximately 25%. That means among everyone whose test is positive, only about 1 out of 4 actually has the disease. This idea goes far beyond. Doctors update their belief and diagnosis as new evidence comes. Email filters update their belief about an email being a spam after reading the words inside it. Recommendation systems update their belief about what you might want to watch next or listen to next after they analyze what you have been watching for or listening to before. Even we have something called Bayes classifier in machine learning. And it's all the same cycle. Start with a prior belief, watch evidence, update your belief, repeat. And even the story behind Bayes' theorem is very interesting. Thomas Bayes was actually a priest who was trying to prove the existence of God to the philosophers back in his time who were atheists. His work was actually not published by him. Like 2 years after his death, someone else found his work and published it and called it Bayes' theorem. And it's really fascinating to think that something that started by an amateur mathematician one day to prove the existence of God or something like that is now like the base in machine learning, artificial intelligence, and wherever you look around yourself, even when you are making decisions, you might be doing the exact same process. So if I have to summarize Bayes' theorem, I would say Bayes' theorem is a mathematical way of updating what you believe when new evidence arrives. And once you understand that simple idea, you'll start seeing Bayes' theorem everywhere. Thank you for watching the video till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel so that we can learn more interesting concepts together.